Hey guys, and welcome back to my review of Tempted, the 13th episode of The Gifted Season 2. So things are moving at quite a decent pace. We're still getting origin stories. This time around it's for our good old friend Urg. The fact that we're getting more and more into Urg's background story, with a bit here and a bit there, and then a full-on flashback telling us what makes the guy tick. All of that does promise that Urg is going to be playing a major role on the episodes to come, and especially on the finale. But however, as per the usual, and in the spirit of not wasting any more time, let's get started with 1. The title of the episode, Tempted. It does seem to refer to a lot of people and a lot of situations on this episode. So we've got the temptation of Lorna to leave the underground and join the inner circle. We've got Reed's talk about the temptation that the music box brings, awakening the Strucker darkness. And we finally have Lorna's temptation to dig more and dig deeper to figure out what Reeva, Payge and her recruits have got planned. But moving on to 2, the origins of Urg. So we meet Pam, the woman that Urg loved, and we really meet her at the very end of her story because he's waiting for her there, worrying about her, only to discover what she's really done. Pam's obviously the human that betrayed them, the one that he discussed with the Underground in last week's episode. She's as well, and just to remind you, the main reason for the fallout between him and Evangeline Whedon, the very main reason as well that he left the Underground and started his own thing with the Morlocks. But anyway though, at first when she showed up and he called her Pam, I was really excited. I started thinking she's a mutant, and I was like, who could she be? And my brain immediately went to Pamela Greenwood, aka Fatale from the comics, considering she was also a member of the Morlocks. Unfortunately though, it's starting to feel like a sickness, holding your breath, waiting for an Easter egg to drop here or there on one of these series. But moving on to 3, they gave Urg a name on the series, Leo. Now Urg in the comics has always been known as Zurg. I don't remember a single mention of a real name to the guy, just the alias. But number 4 though, jump to present day Morlocks. CLARICE is settled in, no mark of the Morlocks on her face yet. She's an AZ, wants to help, and possibly has a new crush. That does feel a little bit fast, but we'll see. Number 5 though, I really love the pacing on those first few scenes on the episode. You can smell the finale in the air, like it's closing in on us, or the setup for it at least. We get the Urg flashback sequence, jump to the Morlocks and their status, jump to the Underground and their plans, and then there's your inner circle, and all within the first 5 minutes. Number 6, Lorna takes her spying on the inner circle to a whole new level, taking bigger risks, breaking into Max's room to figure out what they are after, and obviously it's the White House, the Pentagon, Sentinel Services HQ, and the Capitol building, and they plan on taking them all down. Now wrecking the Capitol reminds me of the main trigger for the events of the ABC, now turned Netflix series, Designated Survivor. Wrecking the White House is reminiscent of what Magneto did on X-Men Days of Future Past, taking control of the Sentinels as they were unveiled, attacking all those who were present there at the time. But it's not just that he did that, it's also the fact that he used his powers to pull the secure bunker where the president and his administration hid for protection out of the White House. But moving on, and number 8, the entire arc as well does follow to a great extent the God Loves Man Kills story arc from the comics, which as well happened to have been a huge inspiration for X2. So you got the prison break in a way, the rescue mission, Professor X tricked by Stryker, something that Hillbilly Author on Discord pointed out could be happening with Reeva Payge when it comes to her unholy alliance with Benedict Tryon. But number 9, Glow shot on their mission to grab supplies. Now my problem is I'm still trying to figure out who the hell could Glow be in the comics. Can't think of anyone, so if you do think of anyone, let me know in the comments. But of course the moment that Glow was shot, you could see where this was going. The Morlocks acquiring the help of the Underground, represented in Caitlin Strucker's medical skills. Also, I assume we all probably thought this was just a plot device that would lead up to the point where Urg would come to the realization the separatist view, help no one approach, will need to be switched off for at the very least a moment at time. But of course, first and foremost, Urg would have to argue the distrust of humans, given the incident with Pam and all, before he realizes that generalization is the mother of all F-ups. Now Caitlin, on the other hand, and on this episode, is kinda different than she's been this entire season, you know, with her carelessness and all. She is definitely doing groundbreaking work on this episode, changing the views of Urg, and before the end of the episode, he's realized he's been taking the many by the sins of the some. So he brands Caitlin a Morlock, well, without the regular style of branding of course, but nonetheless, brands her a Morlock. Number 10, on the walls of the clinic we get to see a lot of spray painted stuff, amongst which is the name Geoff, only over here it's spelled Geoff. Now considering this is a Morlock intensive story, a Morlock intensive episode, I'm assuming that was a reference to Geoff Johns, author of the stories of the 4 issues of Morlocks, number 1 through 4, that were published in 2002 or 2003, don't remember exactly. But on one of the other walls as well, we get to see a spray painted GPX, the 3 letters, all caps and everything, which I believe is a play on the letters of PGX, the comic book grading service. But while we are on the subject of all those little references, number 11, this one is all Hillbilly Author on Discord, but he did notice the M&T Distribution Center as a possible reference to M&T Comics. It definitely is possible considering that M&T Comics has added Marvel comic titles to their catalog. Number 12, as promised by the synopsis of this episode, Lorna does look extremely exhausted, haven't slept for a while. She's trying to resist whatever the Frost Sisters are trying to do, bringing her into the inner circle. But in the middle of all the trouble that she's facing with all of this, it is definitely unknown to her that the sisters are at work, and all that she believes is that Andy is trying to probe her mind. So, and as of the end of the episode, she is yet to understand who's really at play here, that it isn't Andy talking to her in her dreams, but rather the Frost Sisters. Now I know it kinda got partially resolved at the end of the episode, the entire thing with Lorna, but I'm starting to see her walking away from the underground and into the arms of the inner circle before the end of this season, just like Andy did right before season 1 ended. I mean, she's definitely still resisting. The action that she takes at the end of the episode does say that she's resisting. Gonna be talking about that in a bit here. But who's to say that she's gonna be able to resist into the very end? But number 13, Reed talks the music box with Lorna, puts his foot down, he explains the origin of the music box, an old German story, father and son, horseback riding, in the night, fears of the sun, hearing something terrible, father names it the wind, and then the young boy is dead by the time they get home. Now the music in the box is what Reed refers to as the story set to music. It wasn't really the story that mattered, it was about Reed unable to tell Lorna the whole truth, so instead he decided to do it differently, tell her a story that would scare her shitless from that box. But number 14 though, laughed my ass off when Caitlin referred to Urg as a post-apocalyptic pirate. It did as well feel like a reference to movies like Kevin Costner's Waterworld, or at the very least, that's the one movie that popped in my mind the moment that she said it. But number 15, Lorna leaving, needing to get away, figure things out, all of that just feels like one step on the road to darkness, the road to reuniting with Andy and joining the inner circle, and of course become their own version of Fenris in the process. Now what she sees on the road with how mutants are being treated by law enforcement, that does not really help, because it rather fuels the very anger that both Andy and the Frost Sisters are trying to instill in her. The entire bit with Reed and John looking for Lorna seemed at first to be just a bit of a wasted time, like we've got an extra episode, let's just waste it. But moments later though, you start realizing that all of this is to give us insight into the powers of the Strucker family and their irresistibility as well. Finally though, before the episode is over, Lorna has taken a step back away from the darkness, she's suppressed her powers, just like her father does his. The question that remains here is though, with both of them using what remains of the serum and what remains of the serum not being all that much, what about when they run out of that serum? Which, by the way, I think they are gonna run out of by the end of this season, on the finale probably. But number 16 though, I am Polaris. My father was part of the inner circle before it even was the inner circle. Around here, that makes me royalty. I am not even gonna go through the many references to her being daughter to Magneto in this one statement. I'm just gonna say, just say it already, make our day. But finally though, number 17, Max getting blown up in that car might have saved Polaris, but will definitely lead to bigger issues, and especially when it comes to Reeva's reaction. Marcos being shot as well in the process, that's definitely a bit worrying considering last we know of his state is he has lost way too much blood donating to Glow, probably putting his life in extreme danger as of the end of the episode, being shot and all. But that being said though, and in the overall I think it was a pretty decent episode, not the best this season, very close in quality to that of last week, a bit better actually. There are definitely finale vibes all over the place, like the story is closing to an end, a certain rush to some moments, but in a good way. However though, and for those who haven't heard yet, I come bearing bad news. We will have to wait for 2 weeks before we can watch another episode of The Gifted, in this case the penultimate episode of the season, and hence get closer to watching what I hope is gonna be one solid final showdown. I'll be working on posting a video with both a trailer and a synopsis breakdown over the next couple of days for the upcoming episode. But before I end this, let's talk theories and predictions. In terms of theories, Lorna might have stepped away from the darkness temporarily, but I still believe there will be this period or even moment where she will be reunited with Andy, and it won't be for any good. I still believe Reed will have to embrace his powers sooner or later, but then again, the hint that we got to this possibility on last week's episode might have been all just to feed into Lorna's storyline this week. However though, I still think sooner or later, on this season or the next, it is gonna happen. Now when it comes to the Purifiers in the Inner Circle, Reeva and Benedict Ryan, I'm not really sure which option I want to go with, which option I want to say is my prediction. But Reeva though is either being played by Benedict Ryan, or his version on the series is just another mutant, only he's one that Reeva has behind enemy lines. There's also a third possibility here though, which is that both of them are in it for different political gains that do not necessarily contradict, even though at opposite ends of the continuum. So for whatever political reasons or goals, Reeva is helping Benedict Ryan get kinda more popular among the people. Benedict Ryan, on the other hand, is allowing her the time and the space that she needs to do whatever she needs to do. Actually, he's doing more of a two birds, one stone kind of thing, using the Purifiers to fight the underground for her, and also using the Purifiers to shift the focus from the Inner Circle to the underground as the bad mutants. Like there are none other than them, they're the bad guys, there are no other mutants, forget about the Inner Circle, these are the guys doing all the bad stuff, let's get rid of them. But finally though, one last prediction. When the time comes and their help is needed, Urg is gonna let go of the limitations that he's imposed on the Morlocks and come to the rescue. That's pretty much clear from this latest episode. That being said though, I've got nothing to add over here, so let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode, how you think things are gonna play out for what remains of the season, and if you would like to see something in specific happen before the season comes to a close. Now if you like the content of this video, don't forget to drop it a like, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications for my future videos, community posts, and live streams. Until the next time you tune in for another one of my videos, gifted or otherwise, thank you so much for tuning into this one, and have a great day.